fellow lightworkers. In this video, we're going to follow on from where we left off in the last one. If you missed that video, you can go to the channel and check it out. I recommend watching that one before you watch this one, as they tie in nicely together and ultimately all come together to help paint the picture that I'm trying my best to paint. No, but just for a quick recap, in that video we spoke about the non-physical nature of our reality and how the very building blocks of our universe are actually energy at its core. We learned how quantum physicists discovered that physical atoms are vortices of energy that are constantly vibrating. We saw how every material structure in the universe is made out of this energy. But what is this energy? What actually is it? Well, to put it frankly, this energy is pure and infinite potential. And when consciousness decides to create, it's where the creation actually takes place. It's the place where manifestation actually begins. And I'm actually going to try and show you how that works in this video. Allow me to introduce you to Thomas Young. Thomas Young was a British physicist who made notable contributions to the fields of vision, light, solid mechanics, and energy, among others. He's the creator of the now famous double slit experiment. Now, the double slit experiment sheds light on the mechanism of manifestation in our reality, and to understand the implications of what this experiment actually suggests are huge. Now, I've got something that's going to help explain this, okay, in the clearest possible way. It's an animation that I've come across which is just brilliant, okay? It gets a little bit sciencey, some technical terms get thrown in there, but stick with it, okay? As I said, the previous video, this video, and where it's leading all tie in together to produce some. Take a look at this.
And here we are, the granddaddy of all quantum weirdness, the infamous double slit experiment. To understand this experiment, we first need to see how particles, or little balls of matter, act. If we randomly shoot a small object, say a marble, at the screen, we see a pattern on the back wall where they went through the slit and hit. Now, if we add a second slit, we would expect to see a second band duplicated to the right. Now, let's look at waves. The waves hit the slit and radiate out, striking the back wall with the most intensity directly in line with the slit. The line of brightness on the back screen shows that intensity. This is similar to the line the marbles make. But when we add the second slit, something different happens. If the top of one wave meets the bottom of another wave, they cancel each other out. So now there is an interference pattern on the back wall. Places where the two tops meet are the highest intensity, the bright lines, and where they cancel, there is nothing. So, when we throw things, that is, matter, through two slits, we get this, two bands of hits. And with waves, we get an interference pattern of many bands. Good so far. Now, let's go quantum. An electron is a tiny, tiny bit of matter, like a tiny marble. Let's fire a stream through one slit. It behaves just like the marble, a single band. So, if we shoot these tiny bits through two slits, we should get, like the marbles, two bands. What? an interference pattern. We fired electrons, tiny bits of matter through. We get a pattern like waves, not like little marbles. How? How could pieces of matter create an interference pattern like a wave? It doesn't make sense. But physicists are clever. They thought, maybe those little balls are bouncing off each other and creating that pattern. So, they decide to shoot electrons through one at a time. There is no way they could interfere with each other. But after an hour of this, the same interference pattern is seen to emerge. The conclusion is inescapable. The single electron leaves as a particle, becomes a wave of potentials, goes through both slits, and interferes with itself to hit the wall like a particle. But mathematically, it's even stranger. It goes through both slits, and it goes through neither. And it goes through just one, and it goes through just the other. All of these possibilities are in superposition with each other. But physicists were completely baffled by this. So they decided to peek and see which slit it actually goes through. They put a measuring device by one slit to see which one it went through and let it fly. But the quantum world is far more mysterious than they could have imagined. When they observed, the electron went back to behaving like a little marble. It produced a pattern of two bands, not an interference pattern of many. The very act of measuring or observing which slit it went through meant it only went through one, not both. The electron decided to act differently, as though it was aware it was being watched.
In the experiment, the electron behaved in a way that we expected it to react. There's one particle, two slits, it should go through one of them, and therefore produce those results on the screen behind. Now, before we defined and observed and decided what should happen, the particle actually carried out every possibility. And so what does this experiment tell us about our reality? It tells us that the moment there is consciousness viewing any given aspect of our reality, and we hold a definition of how it should behave, the infinite potential contained within the energy we spoke about will act out in that manner. Consciousness, the observer, which is who we truly are, is that aspect of ourselves which is in control of our entire reality. How we define our world and what plays out is always and has always been entirely up to us on a collective scale. The world is infinite potential and infinite possibility, and our consciousness can shape it in any way we choose. It raises the question of focus. What are we focusing on? What aspect of life are we giving our consciousness to? The labels we're using to describe what we believe is in front of us. In what way are we describing our local reality, our collective reality? What words do you use to describe your family life, your social life, your love life? Remember, the way you are describing your world is how it is manifesting. And so tell me, we're currently in the middle of a great awakening, a mass awakening on planet Earth. A lot of people are waking up or opening their eyes to new ideas, and it's like they're stepping into this new reality, this greater reality that we're talking about. And oftentimes what comes with that is the idea of stepping out of reaction and stepping into response. And the key factor of the ability to do so is the ability to shift into something known as observer consciousness. Now, when something upsets you, we have this inbuilt part of ourselves which just reacts. It's an automatic thing. There is very little space between stimuli and reaction. Okay, but there is a space nevertheless. And with time, you begin to nurture this space, you begin to step into this space, and we create this distance between stimuli and reaction. Okay, and it's within this space that we have, and we build and create the opportunity for ourselves to decide what we're looking at and to redefine what we're looking at. And it's that space that we utilize to begin redefining the world that we live in, and therefore giving the energy at its core, that manifestation, creational, infinite potential that we spoke about. We call upon that aspect to represent itself in a different way, in a way that we choose, in a way that we prefer. But observer consciousness manifestation in its third stage is going to be the next video, so look out for that one. I hope this has helped in some way. Big love to everyone as always, and I will see you soon. Bye.